Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article and a video clip from the Washington Post that was published on December 6th. The article is by Travis M. Andrews. Now I have to give him credit and his editor credit because they actually kind of call out identity politics in this article. The editor actually allowed for him to do so. Now, if you look at this video here, which we're going to get into, I mean, you look at her. Okay, you look at this woman. Clearly a lesbian, okay, who butch, male lesbian, no bra wearing, kind of like disgusting situation here. Her and this black gentleman in this video, okay, are basically pushing identity politics to the police department using some bullshit. Oh, actually saying bullshit is nice about it, but they're using some bullshit statistic from this LGBTQAIOU and sometimes Y advocacy group to push the whole leftist LGBT like crap. With like, oh, they're abused more, oh, they get attacked more by cops, oh, this, that, and the other thing. And he's not buying it. And so he asks an honest question, and one of the female officers in the crowd chimes in and says, well, it's male privilege. And if you look at this woman here, a term I'm using very loosely, if you take a look at her reaction, she subscribes to the whole identity politics fucking thing. It's pretty pathetic. So we're going to take a look at the video, and then we're going to get into the article itself. Oh, well, it actually would help if it stayed on the correct input. Let's try this again.
You can't have a basis for where the number comes from and what the situation is that puts them in that situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, are they more likely to be in this situation than somebody that's not transgender? Mm-hmm. Yes. So which I don't know what that is. I'm just saying. My wife has never been part of police violence. Most of the people that I know have never been accused of police of violence. So I guess I don't get where that statistic comes from.
Because you're white male privilege, so you would...
It's funny. You look at... I'm sorry, I had to stop the video real quick. It's funny. You look at... the first time she says it, she kind of mumbles it. Then she says it really loud. And you look at her right here. She doesn't even flinch, bat an eye, or anything when that woman chimes in and says identity politics. Crap. With the whole thing, you're white male privilege. So, I mean, goes to show by her reaction that she leans towards that whole clusterfuck of Marxism. Oh, this is pissing me off. It won't stay on the output. I'm going to have to just play it through then.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Let's bring it down a notch, okay? Let's bring it down a notch.
You see, let's bring it down a notch. Don't get all worked up. Just shut up and take it. White male privilege. Just shut up and take it. It's your white male privilege. And look at the look on her face. She's glaring right in the direction, I bet. I would put money. That's the direction of the guy.
It's not.
That's my role in interjecting. So, I don't want to focus on the statistics,
Chief,
because quite
you don't let
frankly...
them get away with that?
No.
Seriously? I'm asking a legitimate question.
Let me help you.
And I'm getting taught white privilege? Are you serious? I find that extremely offensive.
Okay.
And I'm in here trying to be as professional as I can.
You've got a
and
gentleman
learn.
that's trying to talk.
Please.
Sit down.
All right, hold on a second.
No, I will leave. And I will file it on your desk.
We're not talking about white privilege here. We're trying to focus on a different demographic. I'm going to keep this professional, and I apologize if anybody is offended. this data that we have here, the only reason that I brought this, the only reason that this statistic is up here is to give you some perspective. If you notice, the slide is from 2012.
Yes, and you notice he isn't saying, well, look at where it's coming from. Because if he did, he'd look even more like a leftist pushing moron.
From a source that is not necessary. Anyway, we're going to move beyond. Excuse me.
So anyway, yeah, I'd be rightfully pissed too if they pulled that crap on me. So basically, you know, he calls it out. The woman officer who goes, "Your white male privilege," she gets suspended, and the Washington Post actually gives a history of this identity politics crap, showing that it's, you know, not exactly, you know, based in reality. It's kind of funny. So let's get into the article here. An Indiana police force placed a female captain on paid administrative leave after she told a fellow officer that he benefited from white male privilege. A vote on Captain Carrie Weber's future with the Plainfield Police Department is scheduled for a commissioners' meeting on Thursday, according to WRTV. The incident occurred at November 1st training seminar on how police should interact with transgender people in their communities, led by a U.S. Department of Justice representative and a U.S. attorney. And how much do you want to bet that they're Obama holdovers? Bureaucrat, pencil pusher leftists that have been there for a while and are more than willing to push this crap. How much anyone willing to bet? Probably not a good bet to make, because you really aren't going to make any money off of that one, because so many people are going to go and bet on it. The odds are just going to go and tank. Yeah. So basically, you have this situation where you have them pushing this complete crap. And I say it's complete crap because if you look at like where the actual source comes from, okay, the federal government should not be using that source, okay, unless they're trying to be dishonest, because the FBI actually records, okay, that type of information accurately. And I think the FBI would be the best source to use with that being the case. But of course they didn't use it, which goes to show you something on this. During the presentation, an officer who spent 28 years with the department questioned a statistic presented at the conference that members of the transgender community are 3.32 times as likely to be the victim of police violence than non-transgender people, according to WRTV. Well, considering that they are like 1/10 or less of 1/10 or even less of 1% of the population, I mean, you know, well, that's kind of being like, all right, they're less than 1% of the population, we'll say. Okay. And I'm not talking these transgender millennials. I'm talking actual transgenders. Like less than 1% of the population. So where the hell are they getting 3.3 you know, that would mean that pretty much every transgender is getting assaulted by police. I mean, obviously I'm, you know, kind of exaggerating for like the levity and to show how ludicrous this is. So they're 3.32 times more likely to be the victim, according to this BS statistic. The statistic comes from a 2012 annual report from the National Coalition of Anti-Violence Programs, which describes itself as an advocacy group for local LGBTQ communities. Now, basically, if they don't have numbers like that, they have no reason to exist. Why are you going to use them as a source? Because without those numbers, there's no reason for them to be around. And that should seriously be something that would, click with a U.S. attorney and a member of the Department of Justice. I'm just saying. Video of the event, obtained by several local news stations through an open records request and later published on YouTube, included audio of the exchange. An unnamed male officer questioned the statistic. My wife has never been part of police violence, he said. Most of the people that I know have never been accused of police violence, so I guess I don't get where that statistic comes from. Because the statistic was pulled out of an ass. Literally. Okay? So freshly pulled that it reeks of the shit that's still stuck on it. Because you're white male privilege, so you wouldn't know, said a woman's voice. Actually, she said it twice. The woman was identified as Weber by local media outlets. I'm sorry, a man asked. You're white male privilege, the woman repeated. Chief, you gonna get away with that? Seriously, I'm asking a legitimate question here and I'm getting white privilege? The man said, his voice rising. Are you serious? The man then yelled. I find that extremely offensive. White privilege and male privilege are terms that have been around for years but were popularized in recent years by a 1988 paper written by Peggy McIntosh. Well, actually, no. Okay, I give you credit for kind of pointing out this stuff, okay, and calling them out a little bit. But you're not giving the accurate history, okay? Peggy McIntosh actually created the fucking terms. She created the terms. She's the one who coined that shit. Give credit where credit is due. All right? You could have done a little research, done your own due diligence, and actually, checked it out for yourself. McIntosh, who was then a women's studies scholar with Wellesley College, asserted that both white people and men have certain inherent social advantages in life based on those factors alone. So, you're pointing it out. You're even pointing it out. This comes from some psycho bitch in women's studies. Some psycho leftist bitch in women's studies came up with this shit. So, say it how it is. Just, instead of pussyfooting around it, be blunt. Be honest. Because the Washington Post needs whatever it can get to get some credibility here. The phrase white male privilege or white privilege is now embroiled in identity politics. No, it's always been embroiled in identity politics. Okay? Because it's been used as a weapon against anyone who's white. Especially white males. Which I love how this goes. So you now say it's embroiled in identity politics and then goes, sometimes employed to suggest that because of their privilege, white males have more difficulty understanding the grievances of other groups. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I say that you partially call it out, but again, you're not fully calling it out because it's not employed to suggest, all right, it's not sometimes employed, it's always employed. And it's done more than just suggest, okay? It's done to flat out try to shut down men. It's used to try to counter what they say, especially when they present facts. You got white male privilege. You don't know what you're talking about. I got the facts right. White male privilege, facts. White male privilege, facts. I mean, literally. The unnamed officer filed a complaint against Weber on November 10th, WRTV reported. I was racially and sexistly slurred by Captain Kerry Weber while I was asking a question of the instructor in training. Which he was, and he's damn right for calling her out on that, and she should be seriously reprimanded, if not fired. Because do you really want a police officer who believes in white male privilege, who's a sexist? Because just think of how she's going to interact with male members of the public. I don't think she's going to be a very personable officer. And it's going to just end up leading to problems. Because of her sexism. I am now firmly aware of the discriminatory beliefs she's just verbally communicated. There is no place in the Plainfield Police Administration or supervision for someone who holds and espouses her discriminatory views. Exactly. She should be gone. Honestly. Weber was placed on administrative leave on November 16th. She was previously suspended in August for violating a department policy by driving her squad car within 8 hours of drinking alcohol and for having alcohol in her squad car, according to Wish. Oh, she was fucking drunk in her cruiser driving around with a bottle. How the fuck does she have a job? Within 8 hours. That's a nice way of saying she was drunk as a fucking skunk, had a fucking bottle in the car, and she's driving around. Oh my god. How the hell does this psycho leftist bitch have a job, a badge, and a gun? She should have none of those things. Neither Weber nor the Plainfield Police Department could be reached for comment last night. Well, of course Weber doesn't want to say shit, because she's fucked. Between the DWI on duty and this shit, she's fucked. And I can't believe that you're actually trying to slant that she was behind the wheel of her cruiser under the influence and had a bottle on her. Why the hell was there a bottle in her cruiser? Unless that within the last, she was not supposed to be behind the wheel of a cruiser within 8 hours, unless she was literally drinking on duty. But because she's a leftist feminist and she would say discrimination, it was sexism, they didn't fire her. I'm putting money on that as a factor on why she didn't get fired. Anyway, I think I've broken this down well enough, so I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.